Hello students, today we will do example 3.5 which is a combination of the resistors. So it will clear our doubt about the series and the parallel combination, how to solve numericals related to series and parallel combination of resistor, how to find out the potential drop, and we will also see in the end how there is a difference between the EMF and the terminal potential difference. So here we have a battery of 16 volt whose internal resistance is 1 ohm. So let us denote this symbol as small r, and because the internal resistance is given, this becomes a EMF of the cell. Two 4 ohms resistors are connected between A and B. Between B and C it is 1 ohm one resistor, and 12 ohm and 6 ohms are connected between the end C and D. The geometry or the figure is very clear that the current I, suppose I is the current flowing through the circuit. Now at this point there will be a division of current. Let the current be denoted by I1 and I2. Then these two current again combined at this point and the current becomes I. So let us take this B point at this end, this A at this end, and D at this end. So the current again becomes the total current that flow through 1 ohm resistor. Again at C it should be divided. Let us name them as I3, I4. Again they combine at point D and the current comes out. We have to find out the equivalent resistance of the network, current in each resistor, also voltage drop across points AB, BC and CD. Now from the geometry, first we will try to find out the series and the parallel combination. So it is clear that these two 4 ohm resistors are in parallel combination. They have one end connected to a common point A, the other end is connected to a common point B. Similarly, one end of 12 ohm resistor and 6 ohm resistor is connected to a common end C, and the other end of both the resistor is connected to the common end D. So this two resistor, also from the figure it is clear that these two 4 ohms resistors and 1 12 and 6 ohm resistors are in parallel combination. So in a single step we will find out the equivalent resistance of this combination. So from figure, also if we want to name the resistor, let us name this as R1, this as R2, because current given is I3, so I name this as R3, this as R4, and let this resistor be named as R5, so that we can easily write the theory. So from figures, R1 and R2 are in parallel combination, that is R12 is equal to R1 R2 upon R1 plus R2. So this will be equal to 4 divided by 8. So 16 divided by 8, that is the 2 ohms. So if there are two identical resistors, we know the equivalent will be R by N. So here it will be 2 ohms. Also R3 and R4 are in parallel combination, that is, let us name that as R34. So R3 R4 upon R3 plus R4, that is 12 into 6 divided by 18. So it comes out to be 6 into 4 ohms, that is the 4 ohms equivalent. Now if we want to draw an equivalent diagram, so we draw a equivalent diagram. So it becomes 2 ohms, 1 ohm, and this becomes 4 ohms. So R34 is equal to 4 ohm. This was named as R5. Let us this named as R12, again 16 volt battery EMF, and the internal resistance is small r, that is equal to 1 ohm. So now these are the points A, B, C and D. So if I is the current, total current in the circuit, now if we move from positive to negative terminal, we see that all the resistors are in series combination. So from figure, R1 to R5 and R34 are in series combination, including this internal resistance. So therefore R equivalent can be written as R12 plus R5 plus R34 plus then this small r. So this will be equal to, so 2 plus this value is 1 ohm. So 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 4, 7, 7 plus 1, 8 ohm. So we substitute this value and the answer comes out to be 8 ohms. So substituting this value, we find that R equivalent is equal to 8 ohms. So this is about the first part, that is the equivalent resistance of the network is 1 ohm. So this is our first part. Second part, we have to find out current in each resistor. Before that, we can now easily find out the total current in the circuit, and as discussed earlier, the total current is equal to total EMF upon total resistance. So about the network, if there is only cells and resistors, we can still apply easily the Ohm's law. So I is equal to total EMF upon total resistance. Total EMF is 16 and the equivalent resistance is 8 ohm. So total current in the circuit is 2 ampere. So this is the total current. Now you have to find out current in each resistor. So again there are different methods to calculate the current. One of this method is the current 2 amperes comes at point A. Now in parallel combination the potential remains same. So in these two resistors the potential is same, the resistors value are same, so the potential difference across each of them should be same, and hence the current should be divided equally because their value is same, their voltage is same, so their current should also be same. So I can directly write I1 is equal to 1 ampere and I2 is equal to 1 ampere because R1 is equal to R2 and in parallel combination the voltage is also same. Otherwise we can calculate, we know that the potential difference across R1 and R2 should be same. So potential difference across R1 is equal to potential difference across R2. Therefore, potential difference will be current into resistors, that is I1 into R1 is equal to I2 R2. Therefore, 4I1 is equal to 4I2, which implies I1 is equal to I2. Now, I1 plus I2 is equal to 4, I1 is plus 2 ampere. So the total was 2 ampere. Now I1 is equal to I2. Therefore, I1 is equal to I2 is equal to 1 ampere. So like this, in mathematical or calculation, we can show it. Similarly, now we have to find out current through IR5. So it is only the total current. So current through R5 is I is equal to 2 ampere. So this is the current through R5. Now again we come to point C and D. Again we can say that a voltage, the potential difference is same. So potential difference across R3 is equal to potential difference across R4. So that is 12 into I3 is equal to 6 into I4. This implies 2I3 is equal to I4. So this is a relation. 2 times I3 is equal to I4, or you can say from here also it is clear that the resistance is doubled. So current flowing through I3 should be less because the resistance is more. Resistance means the opposition. So current through R4 should be more, but that total should be 2 ampere. So again we say this is the relation. Now I3 plus I4 is equal to 2 amperes. In the place of I4, I substitute 2I3. So it becomes 2I3 plus I3. That is 3I3 is equal to 2. Therefore, I3 is equal to 2 by 3 ampere. So I3 is equal to 2 by 3 ampere. Now I4 is doubled. Now I4 is twice I3, so it becomes 4 by 3 ampere, and to check you do the total of this, it comes out to be 2 ampere. So the total current in the circuit is constant. Now if we have to find out the current through the internal resistance, though it is not asked, but it is current in each resistor, so the current through internal resistance can be calculated. So current, we also write the current through internal resistance. If we want current through small r is, that is the same I current, so I is equal to 2 ampere. So this is the total current flowing through each resistors. Now the C part, if we know the current through each resistors, you can easily apply the Ohm's law and find out the voltage across each resistor. So voltage drop across R1 is equal to, that will be equal potential drop, say V1 is equal to I1 R1. So we apply the Ohm's law. So V1 is equal to I1. I1 was 1 ampere. So 1 into the value is 4. So V1 is equal to 4 volt. Similarly, voltage drop across R2. Let us name that as V2, or we have to find out the voltage drop across A and B. We are finding the voltage across each of the resistor. So it can be I2R2, that comes out to be 4 volt. Now this is 4 volt, this is 4 volt, that is a parallel combination. Therefore voltage drop across A and B, that is VAB, is equal to 4 volt. So this is the required answer, and we can easily find out the voltage drop across each resistor also. Now voltage drop across BC. So voltage drop V voltage drop across B and C, that is VBC is equal to total current into total resistance. So that is 2 into 1, that is equal to 2 volt. So we can directly write VBC is equal to 2 volt. So this is the voltage drop across BC. Now voltage drop across CB, that will be same as the voltage drop across R3 and the voltage drop across R4. So voltage drop across, if I have to find out individual, that is R3, then V3 is equal to I3 R3. So I3 was found to be 2 by 3, and the value of this is the 12 ohms. So it is 8 volt, that is V3. Similarly, voltage drop across R4. That is V4 is equal to I4 R4. So that is I4 was equal to 4 by 3. So 4 by 3 into 6. It also comes out to be 8 volt. So V4 is also 8 volt, and it should be 8 volt only, because in parallel combination the voltage remain same. Now whether it is V3 or V4, the voltage is same. So finally voltage drop across C and D, therefore VCD is equal to 8 volt. So these are the individual voltage. Now let us check the total. We know that the total energy or the total voltage should remain same. Now this is 4 volt, 4 plus 2 volt, 6 volt, 6 volt plus 8 volt, that is 14 volt. So in series combination, the sum of the voltage drop across each resistor should be equal to the total voltage of a battery. So what is the terminal potential difference? So out of this 16 volt or 16 joule per coulomb, the 14 joule per coulomb energy is being utilized by this resistor. So where this 2 volt or 2 joule per coulomb energy is being lost, so that is the internal resistance. So that what we have discussed in the theory, that the internal resistance is due to the motion of the ions in an electrolyte. They may collide with each other, or there may be an impurity. So that factors we have decided. So if we want to find out the terminal potential difference, that terminal potential difference is, we know that it should be E minus IR also. So as an extra note, we can write terminal potential difference, that is, say V is equal to, so we know that this formula is equal to E minus IR. This is equal to 16 minus the current flowing through this is 2 amperes, so 2 into 1, that is equal to 14 volt. So if we measure the potential difference across these two ends or across the battery, this is only the internal resistance symbol. So you, instead of showing the voltmeter, instead of showing the 16 volt, it will show the potential or the terminal difference between these two ends to be 14 volt. So this is the difference between the terminal potential difference and the EMF of the cell. Now let us come to example 1, which is related to the drift velocity or drift speed and the introductory part that we have done in the chapter. Now we know that the formula, let us see the different formula. The current flowing through any conductor in the terms of the drift speed is given as I is equal to ANEVD. These are the formula. I upon A was referred as the current density. So current density can be written as NEVD. Now suppose I have to find out the charge flowing through the conductor. I can be written as Q by T. So Q can be written as ANEVD into the length, and therefore Q is equal to, this is Q upon time. So time is taken here. Now drift velocity into time can be written as the length of a conductor. So it becomes ANEL. This is the formula for the charge. Then the drift velocity was also given as EE upon M into tau. So this were the formula which we have studied in the introductory part, and the electron density was N by V. So we have to make the use of this. Now let us see the question. First thing is, we have to find out the drift speed or a drift velocity of a copper wire whose cross-sectional area is given. So we have a copper wire whose cross-sectional area is this much. The current flowing is 1.5 ampere, and we know that a current is flowing in a direction opposite to that of the motion of electron. That was a conduction current or the conventional current, and the electronic current is related with the motion of electron. We assume that each copper atom have one conduction electron. So it is given that each copper atom, we don't know how many copper atoms are there in this copper wire. So we will find little bit difficulty to apply the formula. So we will see how to solve this. I don't know how many atoms are there. However, whatever number of atoms are there, each atom will contribute one electron. It means it has one electron. It is the valency of the copper given. In other words, the density of the copper is given, and the atomic mass is equal to 63.5 U. That is a mass of one copper atom. Then in the second part, you have to compare the drift speed with the thermal speed that we will see, and the speed of the propagation of the electric field. Now, it is like this is a wire given to us. So we know that the current will flow in the direction of the electric field. So this is the direction of electric field. So this is the motion of the electron that we have discussed. Though we know this electron will not travel in a straight line because they collide with the ions which are oscillating about its mean position. So current direction is this, and this is the motion of the electron. So these are our electrons. So cross-sectional area is also given to us, and this is the density of the copper. Now, first part, we know that, first we write the formula. We know that drift speed Vd is equal to, now according to the given, we have A, that is a cross-sectional area, and the current is given. So the formula applicable is I is given, A is given, drift speed has to be found. We have to find out the N, that is the electron density. So we know that Vd is equal to, we know that the current I is equal to ANEVD, and therefore drift speed or drift velocity Vd is equal to I upon ANE. That is equation number 1. Now while applying this formula, the only difficulty is the electron density. Electron density means the number of electrons per unit volume. So I have to find out the total number of free electrons available. Now here you have to first find out the number of the copper atoms. So if there are n copper atoms and each copper atom contribute 1 electron, then we have n into 1. If the valency given of any metal is 2, then each atom will contribute 2 electrons for the conduction or a conductivity. So the problem is to find out small n. So we have to take the help of the chemistry, where we have an atomic mass that is given in U, that is 63.5 U, matlab mass of one atom is given. So I have to find out the mass of the entire wire, and then density is given. I will find out, density has a relation with volume, so I will find out small n. Now before that, let us find out the total number of copper atoms in this wire. See, remember, we are finding total number of atoms first and not the total number of electrons. Also, we take the help of this atomic mass. So if the atomic mass is 63.5 U, I can write like this. This is the mass of one copper atom. So if there are any number of atoms, that is Avogadro number, the atomic mass comes out to be 63.5 gram. So from this atomic mass, I can write, let atomic mass capital M is equal to 63.5 gram consist of Na atoms. So here we will write, we have Na number of atoms whose mass is 63.5 gram. So this is atomic mass given is in U, that is the mass of one atom. So if I take Na number of atoms, the mass comes out to be 63.5 gram. You know the relation between U and the gram in the chemistry. So the atomic mass, this was given, the atomic mass M is equal to 63.5 gram consists of Na atoms. Let small n be the mass of given copper wire. So if Na number of atoms mass is 63.5 gram, that is capital M, the mass of the copper wire is assumed to be small m, then the number of the copper atoms formula will be written as M into Na divided by the atomic mass. So let M be the mass of a given copper wire and N dash be the number of copper atoms. So from this ratio, 63.5 gram consists of Na number of atoms, so small m will consist of, so N dash is equal to M into Na divided by capital N. So you have to remember this formula to find out the number of atoms or the number of free electrons in the given mass of the copper wire. So mass is not given, so first I have to find out the mass. Now instead of this mass, I am writing the formula in the terms of N dash atom. So it should be clear that 63.5 gram of copper, that is the atomic mass of copper, will consist of Na number of atoms. Our mass of the wire is small m. So how many atoms will be there? So this is the mass of the number of the atoms in our copper wire. Now mass can be written as density into volume. So mass is density of copper into volume. So let us name this density as D, because in the chapter we have rho symbol as a resistivity. So therefore N dash can be written as, in the place of small m, I am writing density volume, density into volume, Na upon capital M. Now we need small n, that is the number density of electron, that is the number of electrons per unit volume. We need electron density. So I am finding out the atom density. Atom density means number of atoms per unit volume. So therefore N dash upon capital V is equal to density Na upon capital M. So this can be written as N dash, number of atoms per unit volume. So I can write this as atom density. This is atom density. So this much of atoms are there in 1 meter cube. So N upon V, that is the electron density. So electron density, that will be referred as N dash. So atom density is number of atoms per unit volume, which will be known as this is will be named as atom density, N dash. So this entire symbol, the symbol for number of atoms per unit volume, is replaced by N dash. So this is dNA upon capital N. So we found the atom density, the unit will be per meter cube, or I can say it is number of atoms per unit volume. Density value is given, that is 9 into 10 raised to 3 into Avogadro number, that is 6.023 into 10 raised to 23, divided by 63.5 gram, that is converted into mm, the kg. So this is our atom density. This is the atom density. Let us calculate this value. So this value, you check, it comes out to be 8.5 into 10 raised to 28 per meter cube. So this much n dash is the is the atoms available to us. Now I need to find out the electron density. So each atom contribute one electron. If it contribute 2 electron, you have to multiply this number by 2. So this is a valency. So electron density n will be written as, let us denote the symbol for a valency by small p, that is p into n dash. Now here, because the valency is 1, the number remains same. So small n is equal to 8.5 into 10 raised to 28 per meter cube. So this much electrons are available. See the number of electrons per unit volume, which is a very large number. So this much number of electrons are available for the conduction, and as soon as the electric field is established, that is, you connect a wire to a battery, the drift of an electron will start. Now I substitute this value, all the other values were given. So substituting equation, let us name this as equation 2, substituting equation 2 in equation 1. So drift velocity will be equal to I, that is 1.5, into area, that is 1 into 10 raised to minus 27, then small n, that is 8.5 into 10 raised to 28 into the value of electric charge, or the value of a electron. Each electron charge is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. So we substitute this value and you find out the answer for it. Now you check this answer, it comes out to be 1.1 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter per second. So see, the drift speed of an electron is very less, as they do accelerate with the help of an electric field established, but they collide with the ion, they lose all their speed and then again accelerate, again collide, and therefore we found the concept of the drift velocity, or the average velocity with which the electrons are drifting. They will not be able to accelerate from one end to another end. They do gain energy for a moment, again they lose their energy while colliding with the ion. So this is a drift velocity. Now come to the second part. They have given, compare this Vd with the thermal speed. So in the second part also we have two parts. Number one, now we know that the the thermal energy is available to the conductor in addition to the electric field. So if I have, this is what we have done in the starting, on an average, if this conductor is kept at a room temperature, or when the electric field was 0, I was 0, because on an average the electron crossing the cross section of conductor is equal to number of electron crossing the same cross section in the opposite direction. So the resultant comes out to be 0. So the current was 0. Now there was the random motion due to the thermal energy available to them, and we know that the thermal energy was 3 by 2 kBT. So thermal energy available is 3 by 2 kBT, where kV was a Boltzmann constant and T was a temperature. It should be taken in Kelvin. So this was our thermal energy available to the electrons or atoms or at a room temperature. So let me write this portion here. So thermal energy available to the copper wire is 3 by 2 kBT. Now due to this thermal energy, the electrons move in a random motion and they collide with the ion. So when they collide with the ions, their energy will be, their kinetic energy, the kinetic energy of the electron is half mv square. So that kinetic energy of the electron is converted into the thermal energy available to them, or you say whatever thermal energy they have, it should be converted into the kinetic energy. So when any conductor is at room temperature, let us take room temperature 27 degrees centigrade, that is 300 Kelvin. So what happened at room temperature, the electrons have some thermal speed, and due to this thermal speed they move into a motion, or they comes into a motion, random motion. Now if they are in motion, they have a kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy is also an average kinetic energy. So average kinetic energy of the entire wire should be half atomic mass into V square. So that kinetic energy comes from this thermal energy. So average kinetic energy of all atoms, or you say the electron plus ion. So all kinetic, because in an the copper wire, ions are oscillating about its main position, and the electrons are in random motion. So we take this kinetic energy as an average kinetic energy. So the thermal speed of copper atom will be average, and it should be multiplied by the atomic mass. So average kinetic energy of all atom means entire wire can be written as half m v square. So this is m is the atomic mass. This average kinetic energy, because they are in random motion and ions are oscillating about its main position, though ions are oscillating, they possess potential energy. So actually it is the kinetic energy of, average kinetic energy of the entire electrons which are in random motion. Now how they got this energy? So they got this energy from a thermal energy. So half mv square is equal to 3 by 2 kBt. We have to find out the thermal speed. So from this formula, this 2 get cancelled. So V is equal to under root 3 kBt upon capital M. So this is the thermal speed of the electron. Though this thermal speed is an average speed because all the electrons are in random motion. So I know the value of the Boltzmann constant. Temperature we take 300 Kelvin. Atomic mass is given to be 63.5 gram, which should be converted into kg. So substituting all this value, we find the answer to be, it comes out to be 2 into 10 raised to 2 meter per second. So this is the thermal speed of this is the thermal speed of the electrons which are in random motion. And comparing this value, you see that if we compare this value with the drift speed, it is very large. So thermal energy available to them is very large as compared to the drift speed of an electron. So this is how we find out the thermal speed of an electron which is available to them due to the thermal energy. So thermal energy is equal to the average kinetic energy. Now if it is an average kinetic energy, it is of entire wire. Entire wire consists of this ions oscillating about its main position. Though there will not be the motion of ions, they oscillate. So there will be a thermal or random motion of the electron. So this is called as the thermal speed of electron. Now the second part is given the speed of the propagation of electric field. Now the speed of propagation of electric field, that we will see in the chapter of electromagnetic waves. But for the time being, you remember that a speed of the propagation of electric field is very large and it is equal to the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So as soon as this conductor or a copper wire is connected to a battery, the electric field is established immediately. And if we want to say the speed of the propagation of electric field, so we will see in electromagnetic waves chapter, it is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So we have discussed about three speed. One is the speed of propagation of electric field, that we will see in electromagnetic waves. For the time being, you remember this value, that is the speed of light. Then we have found the thermal speed and the drift speed. So drift speed is very small. So as soon as you connect this battery, the current start flowing in the circuit immediately, because the electric field is established very fast. Though electron takes some time for its conduction. So it is not that as soon as the battery is connected, the conduction of the electron start. They do take some time. So in some numerical we have discussed that the current takes time to acquire a steady value. So initially when we connect a battery, electric field is established very fast. The current start instantly flowing through it. They don't wait that the electron which is at this end comes out from this end. So it is, we have studied that these two electrons comes from the negative terminal, then these two electrons enter and the another two electrons comes out. So it is not that electric field or a current wait for any conduction electron to move from one end to another. All the electrons which are in the random motion, we see the electron density is very large, they immediately comes into motion. But they keep on colliding with the ion, their thermal speed is very less. So electric field is established very fast. Current start flowing in the circuit immediately. They don't have to wait for a conduction electron to come from one end to the another end. So the current take some time to acquire the steady value. So the concept of this steady current was also discussed in example 3.3, where some electric toaster was given. So as soon as we connect a battery, the value of the current is very high, and then the conductors start heating up. Their thermal, the ions collide with the wall of a conductor, so their temperature rises, their resistance also rises. As temperature rises, resistance also increase, and therefore the current acquire a steady value. So initially when this battery is connected, remember electric field is established instantly with a very high speed. At every point the electric field is same, and the current start flowing through the circuit instantly. So that is example 3.2. You should go through it. It is left as an exercise. So this is what I am whatever I am discussing, it is in example 3.2. So current initially have some high value. After some time it becomes steady current. Its value becomes steady. So you have to remember electric field is established immediately with a very high speed, that is the speed of a light. You know the thermal speed is also very high, the drift speed is very less. It is not that one electron which is at this point comes out from other end and then the current will start flowing. Immediately electric field and current start flowing in the circuit. So this is what we have for example 3.1, that is the basic concepts. Have a nice day.